Right, so now, today... Hello, mate. Sorry, I haven't done my hello. How are you?
You're getting a bit like... Because you're still standing, you're getting like super straight to the point.
Yeah.
Like, all right, today we're doing this.
I know. Maybe sit.
Just fuck off.
Sitting down is much more relaxing,
Fuck off, chill out.
All right, wait a minute. Actually, I'm not going to sit down. It's fine.
Oh, can you just chill out though?
Yeah, okay. So how's it going, mate? Yeah.
Where'd you finish in the league, Hugh?
Right. Kate. Well, we've still got the... I love the way all the media's still going, wow, still got the cup final. It's like, do you really think United are going to fucking lay a glove on City?
Oh, man.
It's going to be... And then Ten Hag says, sorry, we will get to the posters in a minute, but Ten Hag goes, we're in a better position now than last year. And I'm like,
why?
You are a blind man. I don't know. We're not third in the league. I haven't won a cup. But we are better. Yes, come on.
He's got to be gone after the cup final, hasn't he?
Yeah. Anyway, so welcome to Behind the Football. Where did you finish?
We finished 5th, but...
Wow, that's pretty good. Not too Spursy.
I know, but...
Well, I'm sorry. Son's going through. If he scores, the
Arsenal win the league.
First win league. So what?
And also, if he scores, actually that goal wouldn't have made a difference to us because we'd still been 1 point behind Villa. Where we lost our Champions League opportunity were the games like Newcastle and Fulham and Wolves. It's just so annoying.
Yeah, football.
So yeah, that game. Yeah, and I understand. Andrew's like, why do Spurs fans want us to lose? Because we can't stand Arsenal. That's what it is.
We need to focus on Kate Congreve. Who is our next guest and a brilliant first.
I think we do need to do a football special though, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
Can we just sort that out?
Me and you talking shit. Yeah, okay, we'll do it. And we also need to on my book.
We get Ben on.
My novel.
You can dial in from LA.
Get Ben in. But we need to do a podcast just on my book.
Yes.
To tell the listeners what and where to buy it. It's
and
coming up.
Why on earth you put your launch party on the week of Cannes.
Well,
I mean, what moron does that?
Well, publishing works in a different way to advertising. So I'll just leave it. I'm going to leave that one there.
Oh, wow.
Right. Kate Congreve is a brilliant producer at Mother. We've been trying to get her on for ages to get...
We've been talking to her for 6 months about this. Yeah, so I'm excited.
Yeah. So, and it's a different angle to posters, stories. She's got so much to tell us about Uber and Stella and IKEA. They all end in a
Mother does some great work in out of home, so I'm always happy to talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
We've talked to some of the creative team there before. So
yeah, so I'll go and get her and say no more football chat.
Okay, watch your back.
All right, mate. See ya. Kate Congreve, super duper producer at Mother, is your official title. Welcome to Behind the Billboard.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on. We just got to talk about the enormous delay for this episode. Was it before Christmas?
Wait, I don't know. You were ill on one of them, weren't you?
We talked about it before Christmas, and then I was really ill. I had this like horrible cold, and just literally couldn't. I was literally in the morning going, I just can't. Yeah. So then it's been.
And then we had to move a date as well on our side because I had to fly somewhere to do something stupid.
Well, I'm pleased we stuck with it.
Finally here.
Yeah,
finally here.
Because it is a first. Because we I think we started out. Well, we did start out just having creative people, and then we've expanded it. To have everyone who's behind the billboard, not just these creative Johnnies. But we never had a producer before, so it's really good. Really pleased you're on.
Different take on the
Absolutely,
work.
And not just any producer, a producer from Mother.
Wow.
So I think we're not worthy. So how are you? What is going on at the moment with you? Have you got any stuff bubbling under, or are you just finished?
That you're allowed to tell us.
Well, we're allowed to say, yeah. We've got it's been really busy since the beginning of the year. Been sort of running multiple projects, which have been quite exciting, and big campaign for Triumph, which is coming out autumn winter. And then there's a few other projects that are kind of bubbling under, but I'm kind of in that nice little space at the moment where one project's delivered, the other one's just kind of starting. I've got another big one coming up, which I can't really talk about now, but it's super exciting. There'll be some great sort of art buying side on that as well, which will be really nice. So yeah.
Do you enjoy that busy side of it on the art?
That's kind of where I sort of come from, the sort of photography agent, art buying background.
Right.
So I sort of do that quite a lot And I was at JWT. That was my title there. I was working with Sue Clifford. But so I do a lot of that.
Sue Clifford from Saatchi's?
Yes, the very same.
I remember, sorry, am I going to go down memory lane now? I remember getting told off by Sue so many times at Saatchi's. Me and Adam, you can't do that.
Yeah, she's got a firm hand. She's great.
Well, that's good. Well, we're going to talk about 7 campaigns. So if we're rabbiting on too much, we'll speed up, and if it's fine, it's fine. So we have a certain amount of time to fit it all in. But we're going to start at the end of your street.
Yeah, tell us about the billboard at the end of your street.
So that was the one. It's quite a new one. It's the Habitat 60 Years campaign. I don't know if that's the right title for it.
Birthday campaign.
Birthday campaign, yeah. So it's kind of just, I live in Walthamstow, so it's kind of at the end of one of the roads there. But yeah, so I sort of came across that. It's quite bright and eye-catching, you know.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting to see how so we work with IKEA a lot, so it's quite interesting from that perspective to kind of see how other brands do their product advertising and how they kind of put it together. So yeah, I mean, I quite like it. It's nice and bright and poppy. I guess it doesn't have a massive idea behind it. It's just about design.
I mean, I'm not going to say what you think I'm going to say, Dan, but I'm going to say something else. So IKEA, just like they invest in advertising. All the work always has an idea. It's fantastic. You know, even from the opening of the shop. You know,
this could be in the pages of a catalogue.
Yeah,
or magazine spread.
It is quite dull.
Thing.
It's quite colourful. The only thing I did think the other day was I actually quite like this lamp on it. So I took a photo of this lamp and I thought, I could talk to Rach about should we get. So in a way, I thought, might have worked.
Did it serve its?
Did it
serve its purpose?
Kind of, but not
It's appealing to the lamp buying community.
The lamp man inside me, but it doesn't.
But it's right there waiting for you.
But it didn't appeal to the advert. You know, I wanted definitely more because I think
love design, love habitat.
Because in Habitat, they are. You know that thing, some brands don't get the advertising that their product deserves. And I sort of feel a bit like that because Habitat's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, their good product design is really good, you know, and it's obviously got a history of really good product design. So it feels not doing the product's justice, really.
I remember,
in my opinion.
Funny enough, talking about Saatchi's, it was probably before Sue's time, but I remember when they did some amazing Habitat work at Saatchi's where the person had the plate in their bottom lip. You know, you can have a plate in the bottom lip. And they put it was an African, so you probably wouldn't run it now, but it was really out there. Like it was black and white, and it was on Tottenham Court Road, and Saatchi's was obviously Charlotte Street. It was all really clear and it all fitted, and you're just thinking, fuck, that's great work. But I think actually, Habitat has been sold now, hasn't it? It's owned by Sainsbury's.
You can buy it in Sainsbury's.
So think that's what might have happened, because I think NCA do the work for Sainsbury's. Anyway, I'm sort of going down a bit of a rabbit hole, but you know what I mean? The kind of why it is what it is.
Yeah.
But what do you feel about the industry at the moment? Do you, because we normally use this as a kind of segue into like the industry, you know, do you see a lot of good work? Is there stuff you're enjoying, or do you feel like it's different now? Or?
Yeah, well, I think it went through a phase of like not seeing as much good out of home, but I think that's really changed. I mean, everything that comes out of Uncommon is just brilliant. You know, all of their B&Q stuff, British Airways, and that's the kind of thing that I go, okay, I wish I'd done that.
Yeah.
But it is very good. It's very simple. It's very clever, and I think people are sort of realising, or have realised sort of more recently, of like actually thinking about out of home, a specific idea for that platform, rather than it being, let's just put some, get some stills off the back of a TV and then sort of put that into an out of home, because it doesn't really work. It doesn't really sort of say anything to anyone. So I think if you're thinking cleverly about the placements and where it's going to be seen, I know we're going to talk about one of the campaigns later, which really does go into like placement and where it actually needs to be in the sort of if you've got like takeovers and things like that, so how it's actually how you map it out, literally how you map it out. So Yeah, I mean, I think it's getting better. There are kind of a bit of a divide between the stuff that's really bad and the stuff that's really good. But, luckily I'm kind of in a position where most of the stuff that we do and we put out is always thought through so,
Do you think,
so much.
It's interesting because Dan, we just talked to a previous guest about Uncommon and how good they are. And do you think, I mean, it's an open question, do you think they have a different relationship with the outdoor industry? Because they seem to just be smashing it every time.
We talked about Uncommon before, and we talked to Nils about this specifically, about when they present work, they always put it into an out-of-home frame to show what it looks like as a poster. And so, because we talked about being an out-of-home first agency, it's like yes, they create great films, and yes, they do amazing digital, and yes, they do great social stuff. But when they show the client out-of-home work, putting it on a billboard, putting it on the side of a building, they're putting it where it's intended to be seen. So that's on everything. That's never, we're not presenting a scamp in a deck. It's a picture of the billboard with the work on it. And I think that there are certain agencies and clients who have cottoned on to the fact that the public aren't stupid, and that you can get them to understand or fill in the blanks in your idea.
Yeah.
And give them the credit to do it.
Yeah, you don't have to sort of whack them around the head with it.
No, you don't have to smash your phone number on there and your website and a hashtag.
100%. And I think, we do the same thing at Mother. I think when we do creative presentations, we always put some contextual images around, okay, this is where it's going to be seen if it's specifically for out of home or, on, sort of social post or whatever. It all goes into the presentations as well, because it is a really important part of how you visualise how that's going to look out in the world. And if you can't visualize that, or sometimes it's quite difficult to sell in a simple idea, as you say, because I guess the desire is to sort of really hammer home the brand, but you can do that in a very simple way and still have a really, really effective campaign. We've done it with KFC, we've done it with IKEA. It's like you don't need to really hammer down all the details and that, but the URLs and the phone numbers and all of that kind of information.
That's what the internet's for, isn't it?
Exactly. People will Google it, or they'll go and, like you say, like that lamp, and you'll go on the website and go, I really like that lamp. So it's I think there's definitely been a shift in terms.
It's also it's obvious, but it's a confidence thing. It's like we were judging Creative Circle the other day, the out of home, and there were 2 or 3 brands. So I'm not going to say what the word was, but the brands, there's British Airways, McDonald's, Kit Kat, and a few others. And their approach to it is confidence. They don't need to say everything because they are because they've invested in advertising. And
it's unapologetically confident as well. It's like, I don't need to...
But confidence also equals understanding. Because like you say, why do you buy outdoor unless you understand how it works? Fleetingly, quickly, get your message across, and... It's still happening, isn't it? Like you say, there does seem to be quite a chasm between, the very good work. I don't think, not saying just award-winning, I just think very good outdoor work, and then there's sort of where you see 5 typefaces on 4 different platforms.
Exactly, and it's just, it's confusing. And a lot of these sites are, they're short dwell. You're literally going past on a bus or a car or just walking past. So, you see it from the other side of the road. So it has to grab you immediately and you get it, or you want to learn more.
Or if it's hyper-localised. There was a thing in campaign, I think it was yesterday or today, about Blackpool has been taken over by Alzheimer's. And they've contextualised every poster is by the building. So the quote, the conversations between someone and their mother or father going, "No, Dad, there's not been a cinema there for years." And so they're really, really clever.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, they're not posters like, "Oh, I got it, I'm going to go by," because you walk past.
You do need to read them. Yeah.
But again, once you get that, you go, "Oh right, yeah, this is a really good use of out home." Right, sorry, we've got we're going to talk about. Oh, hold on, what have I got? My first billboard. So I'm thinking it was Snickers, was it?
Yes, this was in my kind of
snickery bits.
Previous role. Right? Yeah, that's the one. The previous role as a photo agent. When I first started, I studied photography and then came into the photo agent side of.
Where did you study photography?
Nottingham Trent.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that your your passion.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's kind of where that sort of love of it comes from, and it's nice to sort of be able to work with photographers and their whole teams to sort of produce.
And you
work.
still shooting? Do you still shoot stuff?
Not as much as I'd like to, I have to say.
okay.
I sort of stopped shooting a little while, and I do pick up cameras. My son's really kind of interested in photography now as well. He's just about to start his GCSEs, so he's like, "Mum, I want to have a camera."
Right.
So I was like, "Brilliant! Okay, let's get back into this together." So I'm quite excited about doing that. And obviously, the resurgence of film and Polaroids, it sort of went down that very digital route, and that's when I sort of took a back seat from my own photography. But now film is becoming much more widely used.
There's
definitely
a
in
massive,
fashion, but
massive renaissance for it, isn't there?
in advertising. I'll come to it. There's one campaign we'll talk about shortly. But yeah, it's coming back into the fold in terms of just because of the quality of it. And
it's the same in the film world as well. I was talking to a filmmaker friend of mine, and he said with the massive kick towards digital and people wanting to review shots straight away and all that kind of stuff, he's like, there are lots of people out there, DOPs now, who are shooting. They're back on film. They're like, can I see it? Nope, you can see it in a couple of weeks.
Exactly.
It's like, no, this is my craft. You do your craft. But
for the contact sheets to come back.
And it's like, that's amazing for film as well. Like shooting film, you're like, wow,
it takes control back.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, we're on Snickers land.
Yeah, so I was working for a photographer's agency called ESP at the time.
Right.
And this was one of the first campaigns that I did that I'd really just thought, okay, this is good. This is really good. Sort of the way that the image and kind of just what we were saying, it's just simple. It's got the logo's just a little label on the side. And
can you, just for our listeners, explain what we're looking at? Yeah. So
it was a shoot for Snickers with a creative director called Paul Belford, who I'm sure many people know well. And it was a campaign around skateboarders. So we cast lots of very young skateboarders, or sort of teenage skateboarders, that were kind of, I think it was somewhere in obviously Victoria Park, perhaps, that we just did some casting. And then we sort of used those skateboarders to illustrate the campaign of around Snickers. And they were also doing these T-shirts at the time. So you could buy the T-shirts online, and they were kind of all part of like the sort of the overall campaign. So these are kind of kids that we found in skate parks that we cast and brought into the studio and then photographed them against a white background, really simple kind of portraiture. But the design of the ad itself, it was a very sort of simple portraiture. Obviously, we kind of had to make some of them unrecognisable because they were, obviously probably a bit young and were able to advertise, I guess sort of the regulations around food advertising and sort of people sort of, they were all like 16, but like, we'd sort of decided that they were probably better off being unrecognisable because it just really sort of showed off a bit more of the work and the characters of who these people were. But yes, you've got the very, very beautifully shot images by James Dimmock, who's a photographer I was repping at the time, and then just really simple kind of logo just on the side.
So I wanted to ask something, and I might be being really thick here. So I couldn't, because I remember this campaign and I really liked it, very brave, very graphic and simple. But I was trying to look the link between Snickers and skateboarding. Was it just purely a sort of sponsorship thing? Or was it just going, let's stick our label on a bunch of young kids? Or was there more to it? Do you know?
I don't think there was a huge amount more to it. I think it was more about the idea of just, kind of appealing to, obviously they were, wanting to sort of do these T-shirts and kind of appeal to that kind of, that kind of that group of people that were kind of, doing that active sport. And I guess the activity that you do around Snickers, I think at the time was that the brand was sort of trying to sort of, be that kind of very cool, young.
Yeah, because it wasn't, you're not yourself when you're hungry. Snickers. It's before that, isn't it? Because the one I really like, the T-shirt here says next of kin. So it's like as if like they're going to die. And it's a really fucking cool idea. That.
Yeah.
So did Paul or the creative team make the T-shirts the sort of idea, as in
the T-shirts were the driver of the
so
campaign.
could you buy them as well?
I don't know if you could actually buy them or whether they were kind of like promotional items. I can't remember now, such a long time ago. But yeah, the idea that came from the T-shirts, that these kids would wear these T-shirts with next of kin and they'd write their name on and their phone number or whatever, or maybe not phone number because it's probably before they all had
so
them.
on the next one, it says instructions: blow, tilt head, lift chin, check breathing, give 2 breaths, pump, position hands in centre of chest, firmly push down 2 inches on chest 15 times. And then the shirt has sort of indications where this should happen. So it's like, it's kind of going, it's really clever, right? Sort of saying,
so that was the vehicle of like getting the idea across, and then obviously getting the kids to wear them and shooting them was, so it was, for me, it was like one of those campaigns, like you say, very clever, very well thought out, very simple sort of execution, but like you say, the idea is behind.
And your role was you're assisting the photographer.
So I was the producer from the agency side.
So
yes.
you're Abbott, not Abbott Mead, no, the photographer.
No, so I was in the photographer's agency. So this is before I kind of took
that's right,
the sort of the step into on the other side, the sort of the agency side, but. That this was me being a producer for a photographer's agency. So we organised the studios, the casting.
So were you having to liaise with another producer on the agency side?
Yeah,
as well,
so I was working, I think it was with Katie and Sarah, who were the kind of art buyers there at the time.
At Abbott Mead.
Yeah.
And did you then get was it actually on that job, or was it soon after that you thought, do you know what, I wouldn't mind going agency side?
Yeah, it was kind of a few years after that.
Right.
But it was the kind of the driver for me, I think, where I kind of thought, okay, this is how this out of home could really work really well. This is how posters really work. And I started to get a bit more of an understanding, because I came from a photographic background, not the advertising background, of how this all kind of works in terms of the creative idea and how it's executed and how that kind of comes together. So this was kind of my first real, I guess, I suppose when I really sort of found out, okay, this is what works.
Yeah, this is how it all sticks together.
This is how it all works. So this is how it all sticks together. And then I became more and more interested, because we didn't just do advertising at the photographer's agency. We did a lot of fashion, music shoots as well. But this was kind of me going, okay, this is really interesting, because as I had never really been in that world of advertising before. It had been very much sort of, I guess, the art and the fashion side. So, it really sort of sparked my interest, and I wanted to do more of this kind of work.
The idea behind the work you found interesting as well. Yeah,
definitely. And I think that's, in my role now, it's like we work with, obviously you've got our strategists and our obviously creative teams, and like how those ideas then translate through into the making of the work. And it's, it's to have that understanding of how those ideas are being translated is really important for us as producers, because we can kind of get under the skin of it a little bit and look for production partners that will be able to really help execute that idea in the best way possible. And I think that you do need to have a deep understanding of all of that in terms to be able to,
It's probably a good litmus test as well for the creatives and strategists to run it to production, isn't it? Yeah. We find that a lot. It's like, can you tell this story? Can you get me the right people to help me tell this story visually? And
and who would be the right person to tell the story? Because I suppose you have that. It's really interesting when you get someone who's, come from not. Sometimes you look at a director and you go, oh, so was the director a creative? And they go, no, as a casting agent, or they were a DP or something. And you go, oh, right, that's quite interesting. Or, you bring more to it sometimes, don't you, from your having that background? Yeah.
I guess, having a little bit of, different sort of areas. And I think at Mother we do bring people in from all sorts of different, I guess, backgrounds, and not everybody's gone through the same kind of career path, really. Yeah. So I think that's a really interesting sort of thing to bring to the table. And just, to your point, in terms of getting production to help execute an idea, and quite often we're like, have you seen this person or that person, or you'll be doing some kind of inspiration sessions like portfolio reviews or meetings with production companies or photographers, and it'll just spark something, you know, and you can be putting something in front of people and go, oh, have you seen this? And they'll be like, oh, wow, no, I haven't seen that. And then that could spark an idea or something. Maybe not then, but, you know, somewhere down the line. So, yeah, it's an important part of what we do is kind of help shape that work a bit more.
So we're going to move on to Hovis now. So this is at JWT.
Yes.
And before I forget, I need to mention from Verity. Verity says you're an amazing person, which
bless her.
We know that. But then also
Verity.
she said, ask about your husband, who's a famous DJ. So we might have to wait. We'll do you first, talk about your stuff, and then your husband. So this JWT, this is called Best of Both, and it's a loaf of bread. I imagine has got a bit of
both.
It's like a fun project.
Yeah.
Oh, it was brilliant. Yeah.
Tell us
really
about that,
fun.
because you know, like I immediately thought, oh yeah, I imagine this is all done in retouching and stuff, but it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Tell us how this happened.
No, it wasn't. So the idea was obviously a best of both, and the idea is that you had these kids that have got like a sweet angelic side, and then, you know, the sort of the crazy kind of, you know, side of like the good and bad, or, you know, I want to say good and bad, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, so Verity and Claudia came up with this amazing concept to dress these kids up in fancy dress outfits or school uniforms. They had a ballerina, a school kid, and then there was another one. There was a horse rider,
Right?
but she didn't really I think she was a bit nervous. They were quite young. So,
Yeah.
you know, so that one, I don't know if that really ran. But anyway, these two are the kind of the two sort of really successful ones. So we've got a little fairy ballerina. So she's got on one side, she's very prim and looking very clean and perfect. And then on the other side, she's got her tutus all dirty and she's ripped the head off a Cindy doll and, you know, all of that sort of stuff. So it was really fun. And Kelvin Murray, who shot it, he's a brilliant photographer. He's very good at sort of this sort of technical kind of photography and sort of working out how to do things. And obviously the wardrobe stylist and the hair and makeup artist were just fantastic. And then Verity and Claudia were just so into the detail. So all of the little things that you see when you kind of look at it in more detail, you can kind of find little touches and little, you know, fun bits that really make it.
So it wasn't two photos.
No.
It was all single
It
shots.
was single shots.
And was it Kelvin's decision to do it like that, or was it Claudia and Verity? Because the concept is strong, as in best of both worlds, perfect, and then have this sort of like duality to the idea. But then were you debating it with Claudia and Verity?
I think there was
Kelvin?
a desire right from the start to do it in camera. Yeah, I think that was the craft of, you know, I mean, you know the girls, they're very into their sort of craft, and you know, Kelvin sort of really jumped on board with the idea.
It's much more challenging, isn't it, to do it like that?
And it's much more fun because you're kind of really trying to have the stylist, you know, she was like dirtying like half a tie and, you know, quite sort of precisely looking at where the line goes in the middle of the ad and like making
So say on the boy we're looking at, did they, because there's a line down the forehead of where he's muckier. So is that like is that makeup, right?
Yeah. So that was made up. I mean, it's, you know, I think obviously there was a little bit of like,
boy.
Yeah, a bit of masking tape.
Yeah.
You know, we'd cleaned it up a little bit, you know, in post, but the idea and the concept was all shot in camera. But it was fun. I was going to say, like, you know, sort of, I mean, Claudia was like, you know, going out and buying all of this stuff herself to some degree because she was so, you know, just all the detail had to be just absolutely spot on.
Was Russell Ramsey involved?
Yes, he
Oh,
was.
right. Oh, okay. Yeah. We had Russell on the show. He's a very good man.
Yeah. So it was, it was a fun one.
Campaign.
But I think just in terms of like, I mean, there's a lot that went into it in terms of the pre-production, you know, the casting of the kids, and then making sure that the stylist was very clear on like what exactly we had to, how much dirt as well. Like, you know, we had to have conversations with clients about how far.
It's personal. It's
Yeah, exactly. So
and also because I suppose you can't go that many times again, because once you've dirtied someone
Yeah.
up, you go, all right.
Yeah, gone too far.
Yeah, which is always tough, you know.
It's harder to bring it back. But that's the thing. We kind of had it to a point on set, and then it was like, okay, just add a little bit more here and a little bit more there. And then you're kind of building up the image and, okay, I think we've got it.
How far did you have ones which went further than this, or was this just like...
No, I think this was about the, you know, sort of the limit of how far they wanted to push it. We only did 3. We had 3 to do in a day. And obviously with kids, you have to be, you know, you can't work after certain hours. There's a certain amount of hours you've got them on set. So
it's a great production. You must have... looks a lot of fun. So I was going to ask, so you spent quite a time at JWT and then you went to Mother, which is quite a different thing.
Very different.
So physically, you know, going from Knightsbridge over to like Shoreditch.
But culturally as well.
Yeah.
So
you
like,
couldn't get anything too different types
was that
of
a
agencies.
big thing? How long had you been at JWT before you did that?
I was at JWT for 4 years. And then I freelanced for a little bit after. It wasn't a straight hop over.
Right.
Did freelance a little bit at a few different agencies. Sort of that year between leaving Mother and then leaving JWT and coming to Mother.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it is a very, very different setup. You know, I think it's just like I said, where JWT was, which is not there anymore, and that sort of work and that way of doing things, and then you know you come over to Mother and it's very different.
Yeah, did you purposely want to go from the slightly bigger corporate setup to a bit more nimble?
Yeah, definitely. Because I like to be really close to the work. So it's and be very, very involved, and it's you know it's a bit more of a sort of fluid way of working. Everybody's part of the creative process, and gets involved in. You know,
and so had you freelanced at Mother before you went there full time? So did you try before you buy?
I came in as a freelancer and then sort of rolled on contract and then never left.
That's good. I like that. We have quite a few freelance producers at our place, and some of them do stay on. They really like the work. They were like doing what we do, and it's like
if it works, and you know,
it's good.
Just depends on if you like that way of working, and you know the work's good, which it is. It's really. And I came in working on IKEA, so I'd been at agencies where you'd work on a project for so long and then you'd never see it, like these global campaigns for like hair care products or something, and you just nothing would materialise, and you spent like ages like redesigning something and it never going anywhere. So when I came and started working on IKEA, you were literally every 3 months there was a new ad out. Yeah. So it was great.
High churn.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you learn your craft, isn't it? Right? You kind of, I say that to creative teams, it's very hard to, project yourself as a smart, good, crafted creative if you've never crafted anything.
Yeah.
Much as you try, and sometimes you even have to do it on the shit stuff, at least you know how to make an ad, even if it's not a great one. So then when it comes to the good one, it's really hard. I sympathise with that. I remember being at JWT for some years you could be there and you'd literally produce nothing, and in other years you'd have a good run, you'd have 2 or 3, but
depends on the campaigns, doesn't it?
Whereas if you're at a more, dare I say, proactive or more nimble or more forward thinking agency, a bit like Uncommon or you do get more.
Like you say, it's the confidence of getting it out as well, isn't it? I think sometimes when I've been at other agencies that I've freelanced at as well, there's, they make it and then there's a bit of nervousness about whether it goes out or something changes or the product changes. And, I don't know whether it's to do with budgets or they just don't, it just doesn't matter. If you're kind of like, if you don't run an ad, it doesn't matter, but for us, I'm like, no, we could get it out and get it into the world. It's quite.
Yeah. Tell us about the IKEA, because the campaign comes out of the blue. Which it looks disarmingly simple, I imagine. Again, is this done in camera?
It's all done in camera.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, how did this come about?
So this was a campaign that, interestingly, I'd worked on the animatic boardmatics of this as well. So I was really kind of early on in the creative process of this campaign, which is great to be able to see it go right from that sort of creative concepting and the client buying the idea and then it actually going out into the world. But yeah, this was an idea that everything comes out of the blue bag, and we literally put a blue bag on the studio floor and then hung lots of products from
fishing wire.
From fishing wire from a rack.
Simple.
Yeah.
Very strong fishing wire, I imagine. Or were these remade products which were
No, they were all actual products. You have to, they were all products.
Isn't that one of the rules in IKEA? Anything that has to be made available.
Is that right?
Have to have it. It has to be available. If IKEA sell it, you have to have that product in the ad. So you can't have, even as down to like biscuits or something like that. If they sell it, you have to have that in the ad. But
we talked about it with Anna Ballerin when we were talking about the boat.
Yes,
that cleaned up
the
tent.
Yes. Well done. Yes. You have good memory. Yes, you know
it was,
Anna.
That was yeah.
So tell it. So I'm intrigued. So what? How? So you're in it's a studio set, right?
So we shot it over at Alva West with Thomas Brown, who again is an amazing guy, very clever, and so how we kind of got to this, I guess, configuration, because it did take a lot of thought as to how to make it flow like it's coming out of the bag.
Yes.
So we were working on like it's pre-COVID, so we were working. It wasn't Google Slides; it was like Keynote.
Yeah.
And we had our studio do some kind of keyline sketches of all of the products that we wanted to be featured. So we need to agree all the products with IKEA first of all. Obviously, they have key items that they want to promote.
Yeah.
We always have to put like a price on there somewhere, and so we would kind of go through the process of agreeing the products, have a sort of a theme around each one. So there was, I think it was about 6 altogether, or no, four different ads, and they'd have a sort of a slight theme around them. So this one was probably like bedrooms, for example. And then there was another one that was like, that was outdoor furniture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we kind of think about that was, so again, more of an outdoor summer one for barbecue. So you kind of like all these products that are related to that particular theme.
Yeah. We
kind of work out and identify which ones we like with the photographer and the creatives, with IKEA, confirming that these ones would work. And they've got a specialist there as well, that's a product specialist that sort of helps us choose all these items. And then we kind of mapped it out with these keyline drawings just to sort of see how it would come out the bag. So that would all get signed off as part of the pre-production process. So when we went into
name the products at that point, to say what's going where, or is it more of a
visually we would sort of map it out. So we'd have little sketches from the IKEA product guide, the catalogues and the images that were sent to us, and then they would kind of sketch it out, and then between Tom and Lucas, who was the art director, they would just rotate the images so that it basically built up the scamp, and then that would be our final scamp that we would then go into the shoot with.
And then you go to the shoot with this sort of template, and say to who was the photographer? You said sorry?
Thomas Brown.
So would you have collaborated with him?
Yeah.
And he would, would you go, right, you can't have that bloody chest of drawers there because it's going to mess with the title?
Yeah, definitely. And then he would sort of say that would, we'd need to have it balanced out. So we'd need to put the sofa here, and then you'd have
helping you compositionally.
Yes, definitely. It was a real collaboration with the photographer, and it's definitely a way of working that for this kind of project is great. Because
I remember Ed Morris came on the show once. He talked about ads and film as in film at the cinema, and he said, never forget it, said by the moment you'll turn your camera over, all the work's done, because you've for a film you've cast the people, you've written the script and all that. Was that like this? You've done all the prep? So I mean, I'm simplifying it, or was there like a shitload of, oh my god, we haven't thought of that stuff?
I think, there's always, like, you have to allow for to be fluid on the day as well. While we kind of go in with the idea of, okay, we're going to shoot this one first, and this is the configuration, and the stylist is building it up, and it's all kind of hanging. And it took like a day per shot. And there are times where you kind of, you've got the scamp, but then actually, that's not really working in that position, because there might be a slightly different size to what we had imagined it to be, or
Yeah.
actually it doesn't really work as well as it kind of should do. So there was a lot of discussion on set as well as to moving things around.
And did you have anything like a very gentle fan, to give stuff, you could move stuff? Or was it all, because I suppose if it's on fishing wire, it's all going to move a bit, right?
So it's going to move a bit. There were times when we had fans on there, but we had it all on fishing wire, but then we also do plates as well, so that you can kind of make sure that you can have that ability. Because we also animated one of these as well. So just a very, very subtle one for out of home, which was kind of quite nice. So we did have the plates to be able to do that as well. But what was really fun about this shoot is that every ad has got an animal in it or two. And this was kind of something that the art directors and the creators were like really loved, because they had sort of brought this like element of uncertainty into it. So we've got frogs and squirrels and rabbits and cats that were all kind of brought on set.
Hold on, wait a minute. Live?
Yeah.
All right, taking it up a notch now.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a stuffed rabbit.
It's a real rabbit.
Oh.
It's a real rabbit that was, obviously we had the handlers on the day, so they were all very, very little.
It's quite fun working with animal handlers, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny.
Honestly, we've done a couple of shoots with cats and dogs and a monkey. But the
Here we go.
I can work with a monkey.
Honestly, they are so well trained.
Really?
We did this thing for a cat food company, and on set,
All right.
someone had dropped a pound coin
Right.
on set, and the cat was ready to have its moment under the lights, and the cat handler just opened the cat door, and this cat does this like sultry walk all the way across set and walks up to the pound coin, circles it, and just sits right down on the pound coin and just looks down the camera.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
Oh my God,
oh, wow.
That's cool.
What
That's
happened
incredible.
there? And the handler comes up and goes, "Did someone drop this pound coin?"
Oh.
Like she'll look for a mark,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
and then she'll go to it.
Is that why?
Yeah,
That's
and so they're
nice,
so
isn't
well
it?
trained.
Wait a minute. But so on this first one, there's stuffed animals, right?
Yes,
So that-
actually, no. This one probably is the only one that doesn't have an
What about the
animal.
panda? Is the panda not real?
No, they're all like.
Popo from China.
Someone get a panda in a basket
But
for
then
me.
the second one has a rabbit and a
Rabbit
third
and
has
a
got
cat.
a dog.
There's a
There's a
dog,
dog.
and that one there's a frog.
Yes, I saw
and
a
a
frog
squirrel.
somewhere. Right, okay. So that's fun.
So yeah, it was really fun, and it really does make for a fun shoot day when you've got animals turning up. Yeah, because everyone got really excited, and then the guy that brought the frog, he was hilarious. He worked with David Attenborough a lot, so he was like your, typical kind of shorts, khaki shorts, like khaki shirt with his like array of frogs, which we then chose which one we wanted. And he was just telling us these incredible stories on set about being in the jungle with David Attenborough, like trying to find these frogs and then, setting the frogs up and handling them so that he could actually do his piece to camera.
Can I quickly tell you, David Attenborough?
And he put a couple in his pocket to bring home so he can get paid for them later.
I've got to quickly tell you David Attenborough story.
Yeah, go on.
I was at my brother's yesterday, and he said in the pub, everyone loved David Attenborough when it comes on, apart from there's one bloke at the end of the bar, and someone said, Pete fucking hates Attenborough. And everyone's gone, no one hates Attenborough. And he said they've now figured out they're going to start winding him up, going, oh, it's in that Attenborough documentary, blah, blah, blah. And they said, because, no one should ever hate.
He's a national treasure.
So then I started saying, what's a Far Show sketch, isn't it? It's like the man who hates. Anyway,
It's in 98 the other day as well. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, sorry. So, that
Every time he's on a BBC,
David's the mammals things on.
he's everywhere.
So we're going to go from most episodes of Behind the Bill would have to have some sort of nakedness or sex. I've sort of realised. So
Yeah,
and
last week we had OAPs at it.
at it, yeah, for Relate. So we're going to talk beer and nakedness and sex. Stella, right?
Yeah.
So this is an interesting one, right? Because I remember in the old days, Stella was, positioning was expensive. Reassuringly expensive. And then it's had a mixed sort of bag since then. But then Mother really kind of, I thought they've nailed it with their it's more beautiful sort of work. It's nothing to do with price, is it now? it's all about filtered and stuff like
it's
that.
just like the Life Artois campaign, which ran with all the illustrations. That was the sort of, I guess, when it sort of started to go into that very much more sort of beautiful.
Weren't there some
world.
films set down in the south of France, and there was someone falling through canapes of shops? You know, it was all about
triple filters.
This is so this was the print that went with that campaign.
Yeah.
So strategically placed chalices, shall we say?
So again, how do you? I'd start casting people's bodies. Is it who shot it out of interest?
So the film was shot by Autumn de Wilde, and then this was shot by Nick Meek.
Oh, Nick, yes, we love Nick.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a, I guess, probably wouldn't think of Nick as, first for a campaign like this, which is why I think the kind of the art buying element of this is really interesting, because I think we wanted something that had a sense of humour, that was going to be beautifully shot. I think we're given that element of like elegance and premium kind of feel, and the creatives really felt that Nick's work and the light that he uses and the I guess the sort of the very subtle humour in his work was just really perfect for this campaign. So the casting was the same as the TV, but they all had to sort of wear these flesh-coloured underwear.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that right? So you're not naked?
They're not. I think some of the ladies might have. Yeah, they were. But
they call them something, don't they?
Yeah.
They call the underwear something.
We had a great shot of the creatives in them as well.
So hold on, I'm got a pair of pants on.
But no, they're like paper knickers. Like they're like flesh coloured. So they're
right. Okay.
Vanity underwear.
Are you going to wear these in can, mate? You got them?
Got them on now.
Yes, we've just got that on and nothing else.
I
was going to say to our listeners that Dan's been naked for this entire episode. That's brilliant. So hold on. So, but when you're casting them, well, I suppose was Nick casting a load of naked people, or we just see them dressed? Because when you're casting someone, the whole role is for the see.
Well, you have to, you have to kind of. I mean, obviously you're casting because they're obviously playing different characters as well, and these were people from the TV, and they were kind of in the background of the TV, and that was a great one.
A bit like me, that.
But it was just kind of like getting the characters. So I guess there's an element of like you would need to see them in some state of undress before you would confirm them. But, it all goes out on the casting briefs. So nobody's,
no one turns up to set.
No one turns up and goes, oh, God, you didn't expect me taking my clothes off today.
What sort of party is this? It's a Stella party. Yeah.
So they're all very aware, and they're all like obviously really good sports. And, it was shot in Mallorca, so it was very warm. So people didn't mind.
There's a particularly brilliant one we're looking at now, which sort of straddles two areas we love here, a mural and outdoor. So this is where is this, Kate, this mural? Is this an old street or something?
I think it is actually. There's a, it's near sort of near Tabernacle Street.
Yeah, that one.
I think.
What are those, Dan? What are those squares?
Are they windows?
They're windows.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
how did you?
So I think
In fact, is this the site right next to Global Street Art?
Well, Tabernacle, it might be. I think it's more because Neverland's up there, I think, and I walked past it on the way home to Old Street. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So, but you've made use of the windows. Strategic.
Yeah, so strategic use of the windows, and I think that's working with media agencies as well really closely to
find us the right site.
Exactly. So there's a brief, and it goes out, and they go, we've got a perfect site, because this was something that came up after the main sort of campaign was kind of planned and shot, and then obviously wouldn't this be great? And going back to what we were sort of talking about earlier is that if there is an idea, we will say, the creatives will say, we've got a great idea. Can we find a site that will work for this idea? Or, we really want to do a mural and we found a perfect site for it. Can you, talk to clients about buying that idea. So it kind of works, in lots of different ways. But I think this one particularly was, that's just the site that
I think that's that's a production specialist. That's exactly why people come to GV. To be honest, we understand digital and understand that at home and understand how to communicate with people, and we know the best sites. So we do get briefed by creative teams going, we just need to elevate the idea a bit further. Have we got somewhere that could do this? And we go, here's this. And
exactly.
I think it often gets sold in because it's so special.
I like this because it's quite often, and this is not denigrating murals, but it's just a pack shot on a wall, but it does look a bit better on a wall. Still a pack shot. Because sometimes I walk past there, it's got something amazing, and other times it's just like ombre solaire 2 for 1 at Boots, and you're going, fucking hell, you painted that whole wall for that.
I love the stuff that uses the contour of the environment. Good. There was I think one of my favourite murals is the North Face wall stuff that he did a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's just so good. Use the wall.
Brilliant. Who does that in-house, North Face, or is it?
No, they've got a couple of agencies.
Yeah, we should do something like that. The other thing I was thinking on this, it's an obvious thing to say, but even when you're casting, so they're casting, so for you, running the job, you go, right, we need to go to X. Is it Nick Meek's job to go and cast these people, or do you get involved and say, you need to talk to these people? Because it's quite a special thing.
It's a bit of both. I think the photographer or director would always know what they want to get out of how to get the best out of the people. And I think that's a really important part of casting, is to making sure that you can get the performance out of them, whether it's motion or stills. And, it's getting the right sort of look and feel, but also whether they can whether they can actually, get the performance out of the talent and create the image that we've kind of decided we want to do, that the creators have kind of come up with. But it is very much a collaborative process. So generally the photographers will find the cast, obviously we'll give them a brief, they'll find the cast, we'll then have an open discussion with the team about who we feel is working, do obviously go with live castings if necessary. But it's very much a case of this is kind of who we're looking for. Photographers will go off and find them.
Sorry, I don't know if I was listening, sort of story of my life this, but did you say it was the same as the TV or not? Or was it a separate project for the cast? Did you have to have the cast from the TV, or was it? We had
some of the cast from the TV. So the TV was a bit of a different sort of idea. Well, it's the same concept, but executed a bit differently. Yeah. So we shot it at the same time, same location, well, different parts of the same location. And then we had casts that weren't being filmed at that time, extras that weren't being filmed at that time. So it was all
imagine being an extra.
Come on.
Just sit around naked.
Yeah, exactly.
It's quite a good episode of Extras. Right, we move on. KFC. So, Dan.
This is one of our favourite campaigns. We have actually talked about it on the show before. I think from a production perspective as well, that really does feel like a frozen moment in time as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually really hard to replicate. So I'd love to hear how, from a production perspective, you managed it with this campaign.
So this was again, this is part of the sort of it's Finger Licking Good campaign, and this was, again, I think the casting process was so key to this, and it was finding people that that were so natural in the moment. So when we were doing our casting, we were kind of saying, you need to eat chicken in the casting process, because this is all about how you interact, how you do it for real, exactly, how you lick your fingers, how you actually would. So all of the cast members did that in the casting process, and they did it on set as well. So while we were kind of getting them in, you really was a captured moment. They were literally sat in a KFC in Croydon and eating chicken. So Sam was...
Because it's a natural thing to do, but it's quite an unnatural thing to replicate.
Yeah. So it's the thing, when you're kind of doing something like this, you're kind of a bit conscious of it. So the way that Sam Wright, the photographer, was approached it was that we just get them set up, we get the lighting set up, get them in a scenario, get them to eat the chicken, and then just shoot and shoot and shoot. And then, you get the nice moments as you're shooting. And a lot of this, the campaign in itself was obviously, there's a lot in the, sort of the edit selects process as well to make sure that, we've got slightly different expressions and they look like they're really enjoying it, and each of their characters really comes out in the images. And she was absolutely brilliant. She was so good.
This campaign is just so brilliant on so many levels because it does everything and nothing. There's no actual logo stuck somewhere on end line. They're shots, but you don't need it because everything KFC is in there. The line "It's good" is there. It's a really hard thing to pull off. Like you were saying, people eating on a film is disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
and you
not
always
a
cut.
nice thing to capture.
You think you see people eating, but you cut out. So if you watch like Ocean's 11, one of my favourite movies, Brad Pitt, I think they had a joke. He was going to have him eating in every scene. It was like a joke with him, but they'd always just about cut out. But you think someone's eating, but they're not. So this is...
Well, people are self-conscious of it, right? We had a campaign, a hidden camera shoot in the US, and someone interacted with the campaign, but she was sat there eating chicken from a box in the bus stop. And we got the perfect moment where there was a scare moment, and she got scared, and she dropped a piece of chicken on the floor.
Okay.
And so obviously the runners go up to her and say, "Oh, we'd love to use your image on this film." And she said, "What is it?" And we had to send her the clip. And she refused because she said, "No, I look terrible eating a piece of chicken." To capture that moment, I know that it's on set, but it's still like people feel self-conscious about it. So
People
capturing
do,
it
and I
beautifully is a hard task.
Yeah, because the shot of the first shot we're looking at, there's something amazing. She's lost in the moment. She looks beautiful, but it's not contrived. It has everything there in that shot, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing with this, with the sort of the casting process is making sure that, we kind of are representing everyone that was going into KFC, and that is every single kind of person walk of life.
Yeah.
And, I think that's what this campaign sort of does very well, and like make it look so natural. They just are there having, eating their chicken and having an eye, but lit beautifully by Sam.
I was going to say and he just said, "Eat the chicken." I mean, literally eat it and then lick your fingers, and I'm going to shoot. Shoot.
I mean, he was really good. He is brilliant at directing people, and I think just that combination of having people there actually doing the action, and then sort of he would find something that was working really well, and then he just do that again. So you'd be shooting a lot, as just trying to get that moment and just get that. And obviously the creators would be looking and sort of saying, "Oh yeah, I think we've got it. But we didn't really know until we'd actually got all the selects and we kind of looked through that we, were just looking at those perfect moments, like when everyone's got their eyes closed and they're really they are in that moment of just enjoying it so much. And that's what was what works so well about this one.
Well, lovely confidence as well, but like I was saying, the sort of natural where the KFC bucket is, it's another level of confidence. I don't need to put an end line. I don't need to put we know what it is. But it's so beautifully done. You feel like...
It's like the stuff we're going back to Uncommon. It's like the stuff we're seeing now for British Airways, where you're showing the side of the plane, don't have to show the whole logo. You show the experience, and that's what you need to show.
Yeah.
And I think if we put logos on this, it would just be really just shouty. We did, we kind of looked at it, and it was conversations that we'd had, as part of the process. Like this is the idea. It was just, we're not going to put a logo on this because we've got it's in the restaurants. It's you've got the packaging, you've got it's good,
you've got the products.
So all of those sort of elements are there. That you don't need to just.
We just have to quickly mention that Anna came on, so she sort of told us, it's more her side of it. It's been brilliant hearing more from the photography side in the shoot, but she said they did it and they were really excited, and then COVID happened. And the last thing you were allowed to do was lick your finger, and she said it was, but it ran enough
Yeah, it was out for enough for it to have, for it to be seen and for it to, to sort of have the impact that it did. But this was one of the ones that we actually shot on film. So we shot digitally. So there was a few we'd shoot the digital. We think, okay, we've got some really good stuff. And then Sam would then shoot 5 or 6 rolls of film off the back of it. And every single one of those, bar one, is one that we chose from the film.
Wow.
Not from the digital.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Just that extra bit of texture. And
Yeah, which we then kind of overlaid onto the one that wasn't. But it just had that quality
Feels
to
filmic,
it.
doesn't it? Feels like a scene from a film.
Yeah.
Right, we've got to move on. Thank you just quality, this work. So good. Right, we are going to talk Uber. So, sorry, I can't remember what your involvement on the Uber was, so just remind us.
So, the Uber Trains campaign was a graphic creative idea. And
because it's not photography, right, is it?
No. And we producers do a lot of the delivery as well. So, we do all of it. So, we'll kind of get involved and we'll work with the design teams and with the media agencies to kind of execute and just deliver the work. But this was the creative lines obviously were done by our creatives and our design team, and was sort of in our in-house studio. But then when it came to actually deciding where everything went, so we had various different headlines across different stations. So it was a station takeover and all the London rail stations.
Yeah.
So each station, and this was where we work very closely with JCDecaux because they kind of own all of those sites pretty much. So we would get a plan from them. We'd get the media plan. We'd get the specs for all of the different takeover sites. So some of it was maps, if like King's Cross. Some of it was maps of like, from I don't know, from King's Cross to wherever it is, and that the journey would be sort of planned out in the different sort of the time it would take to get there as well. So that had to be all really carefully, pardon the pun, but like mapped out in terms of where we were going to see it, what's the direction of travel of the people that are walking down to the station versus walking back from the station. And then when we were doing the sort of the concourse takeovers, it was which messaging is going to go where, how big is it, what do we want to say? And we were kind of very instrumental in kind of helping plan out where all these sites were going to be. So there was a Waterloo takeover as well outside. So we had Waterloo as quite a big one, the big massive
underneath
screen.
And then the individual billboards underneath the
so all of that was
bridges.
Uber, and it was all kind of sort of planned out to which one was going to go where, which because they're all sort of slightly different specs.
Clapham Junction Colossus.
So that was like
super long one.
Yeah, the
Such a great site.
XXXL.
Can I say on the Colossus? So I've been at Neverland recently. We've been talking about Colossus, and I thought it was called Captain Colossus. This thing. So I kept going, let's get that Captain Colossus on.
Not the Clapham Colossus.
Absolutely. And they're going, Toddy, are you all right? The Colossus. Yes.
And was there some dynamic driven copy on here as well? Wasn't there something?
Yeah, so this was at Waterloo. We had the sort of the Waterloo motion site, which is huge. And that was all done in real time as well. So
with departure information.
So we're working with do.com very closely with giving them all of the assets that we wanted to kind of, all of the different sort of creatives that were going to sort of roll on. And then at certain points, it'd be your train will depart from platform 9 in like 3 minutes or something. And that was real time that was fed in from
National Rail
National Rail information. So that was kind of a really, really sort of exciting piece to work on, because you really had to sort of look at planning what the messaging was going to be and what order it all went in to make sure that when those came up, it was at the it was sort of scheduled at the right time. There was actually going to be a train that was going to be leaving from one of the platforms
on time.
It's an amazing campaign, because I've seen it everywhere, both in the real world, very importantly, and on juries and stuff, and just through our own sort of stuff. And it's sort of, it's just does that Paul Arden thing about, recognising a brand at 90 feet. You just see this now and you go, oh, that's an Uber ad. The fact that it's actually trains now and Uber is, but the level of art directional, I'm going to say policing, that's probably the wrong word, but the craft and attention to everything, like the way you've just described that reminds me of Vicky Ross does this thing called Copy Safari, where you go around and you see something in the real world, because it feels like on Uber, trains and Uber, someone has worked out how far it is, how big it needs to be. It's just amazing. Where you see other campaigns, you go, someone adapted that and it's a bit shit. Because I go through Waterloo quite a bit, been travelling lately, and everything about it is just perfect. You couldn't brand it better. So, kudos to you and your team at Mother.
It was a really fun one to work on, and I think every station was bespoke because the trains go from different places. So yeah,
thousands of pieces of coffee, surely.
Thousands of pieces of coffee. Then we did like Liverpool Street, so it's all of the glass panels in Liverpool Street. I mean, every single station pretty much in London, some more than others, like depending on what their sort of space was like. But it was meticulously planned out.
Brilliant.
So it was good to sort of finally get it all out and see it. We all went for a little trip to Waterloo with the clients. It was really nice.
It does. It reminds me of another Mother campaign and it goes back to the IKEA store opening that we were talking about, where they had the number of steps to the store.
Yes.
Did you work on that one as well?
Yes, that was. I worked on that in the beginning of it. Just
they had unique pieces of copy all around on Out of Home that directed you to in Greenwich. It said 1,142 steps from here, or 852 steps from here. So
that was Anna and Hemeti.
The number of unique pieces of copy, just like, wow, it's great.
And we're sort of finding that is happening more and more now. With I guess, what we were saying earlier about sort of being clever with your placements. Yeah. It's like, if and you can work with, the sort of media owners really early on in the campaign, then you can make sure that, okay, well, we've got a specific, like the Uber XXL, a specific site that that you're going to be putting, that was only ever seen on those really long formats. That was, you wouldn't get that one on a 6-sheet, for example.
At Euston now.
Yeah,
which is amazing.
And that's what it goes back to the other thing that was a theme in last week's episode, actually, which is the contextuality. Using the environment, using the format to its maximum potential, and that's what the Colossus. That's what the Colossus did.
I'm now looking at the next slide. It says my favourite billboard, and then it's blank. Did we have it? Have I messed up?
I don't know.
You can tell us.
Think.
Well, that's all right.
Maybe I just didn't put it in because I wasn't sure
me.
what to put.
No, that's fine. Well, do you have anything on the top of your head, or we can pop it in later?
I think the favourite one I've seen recently, I think, does have to be the British Airways one.
Which one? The
just the plane, the side of the plane.
Yeah.
I was driving out to the A1 a few weeks ago, and there's two sites just on the beginning of the A1 as you're going up, and there were just two there, and I just thought, wow, it was nighttime. They just looked really great, just really impactful.
Yeah, it's and you know what? It's that thing you kind of go, how are they going to top what they've done? And I wouldn't say if they've topped it, they've just done something completely different, and it's still spectacularly good.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, you're always sort of trying to go for the next thing, aren't you? I mean, there's more campaigns coming out for Uber, and it's like, how do we build on that? How do we kind of make that more impactful? And still sort of having, I guess, a similar kind of idea, but how do we push it forward and kind of create something that is just a little bit different enough for people to go, oh right, yeah, okay, that's sort of
because they're merging everything into Uber, aren't they? Uber One with bikes and trains and food and cars and scooters. It's amazing.
Scooters.
Yeah, no, I'm really pleased you said that, because we quite often, often we have people rightly, choosing Economist or, Classic, but it's nice to see, this show isn't about retrospectivity, it's about now. And so your favourite billboard can be now.
Yeah.
And I think, that of all the things we've talked about today, that, and there's a McDonald's milkshake with the drip down it.
Yeah.
And you just look at those pieces of work. It couldn't be for anyone else, but they haven't over-fucked with it, and, there's the way they crop this British Airways thing is just...
I think that's part of it,
amazing.
isn't it? I think it's because it is the image itself, the way
Breaks
that they...
the rules.
Yeah, it does. It breaks all the rules, but then you notice it. You're like, okay, that is really clever.
Yeah, that sort of is the point of what we're all bloody doing, isn't it? Try and notice it.
Before we let you leave, we must talk about tips. And I think in this episode, we should be talking about tips for producers, tips for people who work in production, wanting to get more out of their productions, wanting to think about out-of-home production.
Yeah,
What do you say to junior producers coming in, project managers coming into the world and saying... This is how you be great.
This is how you do it. Yeah, I think it's all about, for me, it's about collaborations. It's about, chatting to your creative teams, finding out exactly what it is that they want to achieve in order to be able to find the right production partners. Not being afraid to think outside the box either. Like, don't go for like the usual tried and tested. Like, have a little bit, look around and see how someone else's work can translate into your idea. So, like, for example, with Nick doing Stella, it wasn't an obvious kind of choice, but works really well. Sam Wright's not a food photographer, but he shoots portraits really well. So it's like it's looking at things from that perspective, I think, and then elevates it to that point where it goes, oh right, okay, that's a bit more than you would normally kind of expect from an ad. But then it is like, again, talking about the Uber, if you're collaborating with the media owners and actually talking to them about what it is that you want to show before they buy the media space, and having those conversations early on as well and getting involved in that.
I think it's a great shout. The outdoor media owners do a lot for the creative community, and they provide actually a lot of information on all of their websites and their seminars and stuff they do, and they record loads of them and put them out. There's free resources out there, and they are they're so good, and the space is so good to work in. You can, it helps you spawn new ideas as well.
Exactly, and I think there's traditionally you kind of, that's the last part. Oh, we'll just fulfill the media plan, and it's like, actually, let's get everyone involved earlier on.
Because that's probably the most. If that fails, all the other work, all the previous sort of wasted a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, I've had media plans before where you're like, this isn't going to work. Like, you've got an ad that doesn't really sort of translate into that space, or if you've got, if you're working with something with HFSS rules and they've begun buying loads of TFL sites, you're like,
can't do that.
Yeah, that's a bit tricky. But it's just all about communication, I think.
Yeah.
Kate, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming in.
A real lesson in production and just seeing the big picture, and like say collaborating and making sure the tentacles reach to everyone is just such a lesson for all of us to make the work great. And I'm sorry we've been a bit delayed, and
no, we got there in the end.
Yeah, got there. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you
very much.
Cheers.
Thank you.
How's your back? You've been standing now for an hour.
No, I mixed it up. I'd had a little sit and a bit up. So I'll be ready for a little hot water bottle soon. I hope Adrian's got that coming.
A little hot tub or something on your in your garden. But that was great, wasn't it?
She was great.
Really good.
Fascinating stuff. I mean, just great to hear from a different angle.
Take in production. I mean, obviously we're a production agency, so we get that we're the whipping boys all the time. Like, find me this, find me that. Well, how do we do this? How do we do that? And it's like, she's right. It's about having the right partners. It's about asking the right questions. And it's about the ability to say, yes, you could, or you could do it like this, or you could do it like this, or you could do it like this, and having those solutions in place. I think one of the hardest things to do in a busy production world is always have those answers. So making sure you've got the right specialist around you is vitally important.
Yeah. And also that kind of seeing the entire picture.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're just so on it.
Yeah.
Every aspect is covered. So you're not going, oh, fuck, we never thought about that. And when it's too late.
Yeah.
So, no, Kate, thank you so much for coming on and telling us all about what's been going on.
Yeah, and
Mother.
well done to Mother for continuing to smash it with the right people in the right places, but also the campaign's just really doing well.
And thanks to you, Dan, for being lovely and not mocking me in any way, shape or form.
I mean, it wouldn't be fun if we didn't.
Thanks to Soho Radio, Adrian and Rachel making me stand up. That's very kind of you.
And to...
I hear Grand Visual are involved. Thank you, Grand Visual. And thank you, Talon, for ongoing support and love. We're so indebted to you guys.
And don't forget to follow us on social and pose any questions to us you like. Just slide into the DMs. Hugh's always online.
Yeah, and then Dan's around.
Fiddling with his thumbs.
Not in Mexico or New York, whatever. Anyway, see ya.
See ya.
Bye.